Stingley got his first interception, we believe the first of many down here in South Louisiana. What have you made of the best rookie in college football and how he's answered the test here early on?
Well, I haven't watched every snap of every game, obviously, down there, but I did watch every snap of the Texas game, and he was incredible. I mean, he shut it down on the outside, and what's happening is the kid is kind of lost in all of the offensive, Joe Burrow spread stuff. He kind of gets lost. You have this great cornerback out there who's shutting down people, who's a 18-year-old. So I know, for me, during the Texas game, you get so wrapped up in the offense and this evolution of LSU's offense that you forget about him. But obviously, he's living up to all the hype.
We'll get back to LSU. What would you do, or what is the reaction in Ann Arbor this Monday morning after Michigan falls to Wisconsin 35-14 and opens the Big Ten schedule 0-1?
Well, it can't be too good. It's like they're regressing. Michigan. When he came in, it seemed like they were building toward a championship. I think in his first year they won 10 games, and they won 10 games the first few years, and it seemed like they were building in the direction of a championship. It really did, and this felt like the year. I mean, they have a veteran quarterback, and they're going to get Ohio State at home with a first-year coach and a first-year quarterback. I felt like going into the year, if it wasn't this season, then maybe it's not going to ever happen for Michigan, and maybe that's the truth. Maybe it will never happen. I had people message me after that game saying, what if Les Miles had gone to Michigan in any one of those years, 07 or 11 or whatever, 07, 12, 15 again, whatever. There was like 3 different times. What would happen? I don't know, but the numbers are incredible in Harbaugh. 0-4 against Ohio State, 1-9 against top 10 opponents, 0-7 as the underdog.
Ugh.
1-6 on the road against ranked opponents, which is probably the worst one, to be 1-6 on the road against ranked opponents at Michigan. And then five of the losses have been by 21 points under his tenure. In 3 of the last 5 games, they've lost by 21 points or more. It's shocking.
Do you know how his resume compares to Brady Hoke overall? Because Brady Hoke became a bit of a college football punchline. And
he's not far off.
He is Brady Hoke 2.0, just from a pure record standpoint.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what Brady's record was. I remember the first couple of years it was really good, and then it kind of went down. I remember. I just pulled it up. So he went 11-2 his first year, 8-5, 7-6, 5-7. So his first few years obviously weren't as good. Harbaugh felt like with Harbaugh they had a real solid consistency. I think they won 10 games his first 2 years. And then they won 8 games. They won 10 games again last season. So it feels like he has more consistency, certainly, than Brady does. But, there wasn't that complete drop-off unless that happens this year, unless they go, 7-5 or 5-7 this year. And I don't know. They look like a team that might do that, So they will, if they do that, they will kind of be back at square one. And it's just crazy to think about.
Talking to Ross Dellenger from Sports Illustrated at Ross Dellenger on Twitter. Ross, you were in Athens, right?
I was.
It looked like an incredible environment. I guess there's one or two ways you can take away this. Like, you can come away very impressed with Notre Dame, or do you come away thinking that maybe Georgia's not as good as a lot of people thought they were?
Well, let me say first, the environment was unbelievable. I've seen a lot of great environments in college football, especially down there at Tiger Stadium. Every Alabama game I've covered in Tiger Stadium has been an incredible, awesome environment. In the 2014 Ole Miss game, when they were number 3 in the nation, was still probably the best environment that I've ever experienced in college football, and probably the loudest I've ever heard a place. In Athens on Saturday was just as good as as any LSU-Alabama game I've ever been to. It was incredibly loud, and they were just the people around the stadium. It was awesome, and they got to see a great game. Nick Saban will be proud of Kirby Smart because he's doing a lot of the same things. That team now, Saban's evolved offensively a little bit with the quarterback, but that team reminded me of watching Alabama in 2014 or 2015, before they had really kind of hit into the spread stuff. They grinded out the win. They played great defense, pretty conservative on offense, but made plays when they had to. And late in the game, they kind of grinded out the win with the running game and just leaned heavily on the defense. They had 2 huge interceptions in the second half. I took it. I was surprised that Notre Dame hung around like it did. I was a little surprised, and it did garner a little respect for them, especially that 75-yard drive they had late in the game to kind of get within 6 points. That was impressive against Georgia's defense. But, everything we kind of knew about Georgia, was validated. They have an incredibly good defense. They have freaks, over there on that side of the ball. And they have some freaks on offense that they don't necessarily use as much, only when they need to. And they're kind of conservative. They play a little conservative there in that game. So it'll be interesting going forward if they open it up a little more. Because when they spread it out, started going tempo, they really had success.
Speaking of freaks on defense, Ross, Auburn right now, man, that defense looked legit in College Station. Now you have an Auburn team. No one has 2 wins like Auburn has, or a neutral side against Oregon on the road at College Station. Kind of where's Auburn at in your power hierarchies, if you will?
Yeah, later today, since we're 4 weeks through the season, later today I'll have a post coming out on SI.com about the breaking down if the season ended today, who would be the 4 Heisman finalists, who would be the 4 college football playoff participants, and who would be the 4 Broyles Award finalists for assistant coaches. And one of them I have on there is Kevin Steele for Auburn, former LSU defensive coordinator, now Auburn's defensive coordinator, because they have played incredible. And they have, and you said it, and I've got it in that story that's coming out. They do have the 2 of the best wins in the nation. 27-21 over Oregon, 28-20 at Texas A&M, and the defense was huge in both of those games. So, by the way, another one of the 4 for the Broyles Award that I have coming out, of course, is Joe Brady too.
Damn it, Ross!
With LSU. Yes.
Did you stop telling everybody about this guy?
Trying to get him a head coach.
We're trying to
job.
slow the train down, man.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. LSU. It's going to take a lot, I think, for him to leave, because I think LSU is ready to.
Yes.
In fact, I would think that behind closed doors the deal would be done.
I keep telling people there's just no way, unless it's a head coaching
That's the
job.
only way. That's the only way.
He's not going to be an offensive coordinator anywhere else. Woodward ain't going to allow it.
That ain't happening.
I think we got to remember one thing here. He was at the NFL for 2 years. And the NFL is a draw for people, especially you don't have to recruit and all that.
Yes.
And believe me, I don't know any inside info on his thinking, but I do know people who come from the NFL. When they go to college, they see the recruiting stuff. I just wonder if there's just that. There's always that. The NFL is the highest level. We saw Saban talk about he had a big regret in leaving LSU for the NFL, but he always thought that was the ultimate peak, the pinnacle of the sport. People, I think that way. So that would be the only way I could see it happening.
Ross, we're big believers in the secret, and I'm going to drive to D.C. and drown you in the reflection pool if you keep putting this out into the universe. So be quiet.
You mentioned that you had your 4 Heisman finalists through the first quarter of the season. I'd imagine that Burrow made the list. Did he get your vote?
Yeah. In fact, I'm sure I'll get some emails from non-LSU people, but LSU's made each of these 4 categories. They've got one of my 4 playoff teams. They're one of the 4 for the Broyles Award with Joe Brady. They're one of the 4 for what I call the SP categories for best game, LSU Texas.
Yeah,
I thought was the best game so far this year. And yes, Joe Burrow is one of my 4 for the Heisman.
Is there anything else that we need to promote coming on at si.com or on your Twitter account that's worth talking about before we let you go? Is that it?
Nothing really
All right.
LSU worthy, but later this week I'll have hopefully have a story on Amari Rogers, his return for Clemson, the wide receiver who within 6 months is back from ACL tear.
Wow.
All right, Delly, keep up the good work, man. Thank you.